Good morning, folks. It's your bro. Um, it's your bro, Richie here. Good morning to you all. Today this video is now part two. Say part two on the Dodge Viper. And today in this video, I'm now doing the next part, which is the second generation. And so, yeah, feeling much more awake than yesterday. You've probably seen me repeat it many times. That's because I was super tired. I was just couldn't even stay awake that much, but well, I'm awake now, so thank God. I'm feeling refreshed, better, so let's do it. So today's video is now part two on the Dodge Viper, and today I'll be doing the next part, which is the second gen Viper. And so yeah, before I start, make sure you all like the video, subscribe, comment down below what you guys think, hit the notification bell, and hit all so you later don't want to make pretty uploads. And hit all so you later don't want to make pretty uploads. Okay, so without any further ado, let's begin. So the second gen Viper ZB from 2003 to 2010. so from 2003 to 2010. Here we go. So starting off with the first iteration, which is the ZB1 from 2003 to 2000. So from 2003 from 2003 to 2006. So 2006. So here we go. So the Viper, um, underwent a major redesign. So it underwent a major redesign in 2002, courtesy of Daimler Chrysler's SRT or Street and Racing Technology Group, taking cues from the Viper GTSR concept presented in the year 2000. The new Viper SRT10, which replaced both the GTS and the RT10, was heavily restyled with sharp angled bodywork. The motor's displacement was increased. The motor's displacement was increased to 8.3 liters, which, with other upgrades, increased the maximum power output to 500. So increased the maximum power output to 500 horsepower. Pretty good. At 5600 RPM and at 4200 RPM, 500 so 525 pound-feet. So 525 pound-feet. So 525 pound-feet. 712 newton meters of torque. So that's at 4200 RPM. Despite the power increase, the motor or engine weight, the motor weight was reduced to about 500 pounds, 230 kilos. Pretty good, not so bad. The chassis was also improved, being both more rigid and weighing approximately 80 pounds, 36 will round up to nearly 40 kilos lighter, so lighter than the previous model, the first gen Viper. So it's lighter than the previous model, and even lighter and stronger aluminum space frame, and even lighter and stronger aluminum space frame chassis was in development. So an even lighter and stronger aluminum space frame chassis was in development for the next generation model. So an even lighter and stronger aluminum space frame chassis was in development for the next gen model, but the project was shelved because of parent company Chrysler's financial crisis. The stillborn project created by Mercedes, created by Mercedes in the first place, was used as a basis by Daimler for the development of the brand new 2010, 2011, something like that, I believe, SLS AMG. Say SLS AMG. Pretty cool car, the SLS AMG. Not gonna lie. Anyways, the initial model introduced was a convertible. In 2004, a year later, after it was released in 2003, a year later, in 2004, Dodge introduced a limited edition Mamba pack. Mamba edition cars featured black interiors with with both red stitching and trim. Price increased by about 3,000. Price increased price increased by about $3,000. So $3,000, 200 cars with the Mamba pack were produced. So 200 cars with the Mamba pack were produced. The SRT10 Coupe was introduced at the 2005 Detroit Auto Show. Detroit Auto Show as a 2006 model. It shares, as a 2006 model, it shares many of its body panels with the convertible. So the SRT10 Coupe was introduced at the 2005 Detroit Auto Show in Detroit, Michigan. So the SRT10 Coupe was introduced at the 2005 Detroit Auto Show as a 2006 model year. It shares it shares many of its body panels. It shares many of its body panels with the convertible, but borrows both its side and rear styling from both its side and rear styling from the competition coupe concept. The coupe looks much like the previous Viper GTS and retains the double bubble roof shape of the original, along with the original GTS taillights, as well as retaining the original GT blue. So the coupe looks much like the previous. The coupe looks much like the previous Viper GTS and retains the double bubble roof shape of the original along with the original GTS taillights, as well as retaining the original GTS blue with white stripes paint scheme. So, as well as retaining the original GTS blue with white stripes paint scheme on the initial run of first edition cars like the original. So on the initial run of first edition cars like the original Viper Coupe. If they had like the colors reversed, like white with blue stripes, that would be a perfect proper color scheme for Vipers. Any of the other muscle cars like Mustangs, Camaros, Chargers, Challengers, all that kind of stuff. The motor itself is SAE certified to be rated at rated a maximum power output of 510 horsepower at 5600 RPM and at 4200 RPM, 535 pound-feet, 725 newton meters of torque. So at 4200 RPM. Unlike the original coupe, the chassis was not modified; it was just left standard. For those who don't know what SAE stands for, it stands for Society of Automotive Engineers. So, unlike the original coupe, the chassis was not modified; it was left completely standard. No cars were produced for the 2007 model year. Instead, Chrysler extended production of the 2006 model while preparing the updated 2008 model. Last one, and I'll end it there for now. I'll do the next one sometime a little bit later. Who knows? Who knows? But we'll see how it goes. Okay, last but certainly not the very least, and then for today is the second iteration Gen 2 Viper, the ZB2 from 2000 from 2008 to 2010. In 2008, hold sorry about that. Drinking water. It's important to stay hydrated, folks. Anyways, in 2008, with the intro, with the intro of the Chrysler derived, so Chrysler derived 8.4 liter V10 motor, so naturally aspirated 8.4 liter V10 motor, say V10, the 8.4 liter V10, the power output was raised from 500 to a colossally monstrous 600 horsepower. So an extra 100 horsepower. So an extra 100 horsepower more. So I was at 6100 RPM and at 5000 RPM dead on. So 5000 RPM, 560 pound feet. So 560 pound feet, 760 newton meters. So it's 760 newton meters of torque. So all at 5000 RPM. The motor also received better flowing headers, with larger valves. Mecadine or Mecadine, I don't even know how you pronounce it. It's spelled MECADYNE. Cam and cam VVT, so variable valve timing on the exhaust. So variable valve timing on the exhaust cam lobes and dual or twin electronic throttle bodies. Pretty cool. So the motor also received better flowing heads with larger valves, Mecadine or Mecadine, cam and cam VVT variable valve timing on the exhaust cam lobes, and dual electronic or twin electronic throttle bodies. The rev limit could be increased by 300 RPM. So the rev limit could be increased by 300 RPM due to improved valve train stability from both the new camshaft profiles and valves. So from both the new camshaft profiles and valve springs. The motor was developed with some external assistance from both McLaren Automotive and Ricardo Consulting Engineers, or RCE for short. Electronic engine control or motor control was developed. So electronic engine control was developed developed by Continental AG. The controller can monitor both the crankshaft and cylinder position up to 6 times during each firing and has 10 times more processing. So 10 times more processing power than the previous unit. Changes outside of the motor were less extreme, but a distinction between both the Gen 3 and Gen 4 apparently of the Viper. So Gen 3 and Gen 4 of the Viper is the vented engine cover. And they do only 3 generations of the Viper. I'm not sure what they're gonna do with the 4th one, or if they're gonna do Gen 4 Viper. Who knows? So changes outside of the motor were less extreme. But a distinction between the Gen 3 and Gen 4 Viper is the vented engine cover. The Tremec T56 manual was replaced with a new Tremec TR6060 manual, 6 speeds, so still 6 speeds, with triple first gear, so both triple first gear synchronizers and doubles for higher gears, so for higher gearing. The Dana M44, so Dana M44 4 uh, rear axle, known as the Spicer Model 44, rear, known as the Spicer Model 44, rear axle from the 0306 model, say 0306 model, now has a GKN, now has a GKN, a GKN, so a GKN Visc, so it now has a GKN Visco lock, speed sensing limited slip LSD different, limited slip L, now has a GKN Visco, GKN Visco lock, speed sensing limited slip LSD differential that greatly helps the tires in getting traction under acceleration. Another performance upgrades was the removal of run-flat tires. The new Michelin Pilot Sport 2 tires increased grip, both grip and driver feedback, and along with revised suspension such as springs, anti-roll bars, and shock valving. So shock valving made the Viper more neutral in cornering. Another notable another notable change another notable change was the reworked exhaust system. So another notable change was the reworked exhaust system. Previous Gen 3 cars had their exhaust crossover under the seats, which resulted in a large amount of heat going into the interior, which was done initially to help improve the car's exhaust notes. Since the first two generations of the Viper, which had no crossover, were were criticized for their lackluster exhaust notes. So for their lackluster exhaust notes. The car now featured a new exhaust system with no crossover, reducing the heat that entered the interior. The electrical the electrical system was completely revised for 2008. Changes included a 180 amp alternator, twin electric cooling fans, electronic throttle bodies, electronic throttles, and completely new Venom EMS. So Venom engine management system. CAN bus architecture has been CAN bus architecture has been so controller area network bus, as they call it. CAN bus architecture has been combined with pre-existing systems to allow for regulatory compliance. The fuel system was upgraded to include a higher the fuel system was upgraded to include the fuel system was upgraded to include a higher both a higher capacity fuel pump and filtration system. The Viper ACR, so the ACR made it, the ACR made a return. So the ACR made a return for the ZB2 gen and was put through its paces at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, known as Green Hell as they call it or something like that, clocking so clocking in a record time of 7 minutes and 22.1 seconds. Kuno Whitmer piloted a street legal So Kuno Whitmer piloted a street legal 2010 Viper ACR to a record lap of 1 minute 59.995 seconds, well, less than almost like 2 minutes technically, at Miller Motorsports Park. So Miller Motorsports Park. So Miller Motorsports Park, which is now known as Utah Motorsports Campus. Well, it was operated under the name Miller Motorsports Park, located in Grantsville. So in Grantsville, located in Grantsville, located in the city, located in Grantsville, Toledo County, Utah. So Kuno Whitmer piloted a street legal 2010 Viper ACR to a record lap of 1 minute to a record. So Kuno Whitmer piloted a street legal. Ow, gotta keep doing that. Kuno Whitmer piloted a street legal 2010 Viper ACR to a record lap of 1 minute 59.995 seconds. So 1 minute 59.995 seconds at Miller Motorsports Park in Toledo County, Utah. So Toledo County, Utah, on Monday, April 11th, breaking the 2 minute mark. So breaking the 2 minute mark for the first time in a production car on the 3.048 mile, so less than a 3.1 mile outer course outer course configuration on November 4th, 2009. Dodge brand president Dodge brand president and CEO Ralph Gillies. His full name is Ralph Victor Gillies, born January 14th, 1970, age 55, in New York. So from New York, who's an American automobile designer and executive and current chief design officer of Stellantis NV. Located in Hoofddorp in the Netherlands. I can't even pronounce that because it's technically Dutch. Anyways, so on November 4th, 2009, both Dodge brand president Dodge brand president and CEO Ralph Gillies announced that the Viper would end production. So it end production in the summer of 2010 during an evening host. The last part, and I'll end it there for today. So I'll end it. Last part, and I'll end it there. There we go. So last part, and I'll end it there for today. So November 4th, 2009, Dodge brand president and CEO Ralph Gillies announced that the Viper would enter production in the summer of 2010. All right. Just checking out for on the right track. So last part, and I'll end it there for today. So during an evening during an evening host. So well during an event. Sorry, during an event hosted. So hosted during an event hosted by both Dodge. So hosted by both Dodge. So Dodge and the Viper. Dodge and the Viper and the Viper. Hosted by both Dodge and the Viper Club of America. Club of America on July 1st, 2010. July 1st, 2010. The final production ZB2 Viper, which was given both a gold finish, and accentuated by contrasting orange stripes. Rolled off the assembly line. Rolled off the assembly line. Rolled off the assembly line, and was presented before attendees of the ceremony. Alright, so that'll be it for today. So for my next video will be about Gen 3 Viper. So that'll be it for today. If you like this video, like, subscribe, comment below what you guys think. Hit the notification bell, and hit all so you later when I make brand new uploads. Alright, so that'll be it. I'll see you guys a little later in the next video. But until then, stay safe. Stay safe, have a great day. And I'll see you guys a little later in the next video. So take care, folks. Stay safe out there. And I'll see you guys a little later. Peace out.